Hello everyone and welcome to Tax Shorts. My name is Aisha Bedwe Ibe. I'm the tax leader here at PwC Ghana, and today I'm joined by my colleague Maimuna Haruna, who is a manager in our tax reporting and strategy business. Today we're talking about tax, accounting and the small businesses. Welcome. May, thank you for joining me. So in your experience working with small businesses, what are some of the issues that have come up as you've been dealing with them over the years?
Okay, so when it comes to the issues, we can look at it from both the tax and the accounting side. So from the tax side, I think some of the things we have noticed is that a lot of smaller businesses do struggle with getting the withholding tax credit certificates from the GRA. We have noticed in recent times that there is a push by the GRA to make these things more easily available by making it available online. But it is still sometimes an issue, especially with the smaller businesses. We have also noticed that when it comes to being compliant, it can be a bit difficult, sometimes due to a lack of understanding of the tax laws and how they apply to smaller businesses. Again, this is something that GRA has attempted to address by having, some practice notes and other things, which they've made available to try and explain these things to the taxpayer. But obviously, it may not address every issue, and so this is something that we have noticed some of our smaller taxpayers coming in to say that they don't understand some parts of the tax law and they do need a better understanding in order to apply it correctly. Okay. So I think another thing we have noticed is that probably following on from that point, it becomes difficult for them to kind of file some returns. I'll give an example, the VAT return, because there are a lot of complexities in what is allowable, what is disallowable, and where you should be reporting some numbers. So I think those are some of the tax issues we have noticed. Even when it comes to tax clearance certificates, which is something that is usually needed. For example, if you want to clear things at the port, or if you want to enter into some contracts, they do require you to bring them a tax clearance certificate, which shows basically that you are being compliant with your taxes. We have noticed this can be a bit difficult for smaller businesses to obtain, just because sometimes the records may not be in order.
So May, I think from my observation, it's really key now for businesses to have their financials in order, because when it comes to potential investors, especially now we have a lot of angel investors in Africa looking to invest, they need to have some kind of base point to be able to see that this company has X amount of revenue, X amount of expenses, and is investment worthy. And so that's always a struggle from my viewpoint for us as we deal with these small businesses. So in your opinion, do you think the tax law is generally difficult to understand, or is it just the small businesses are not educated enough about it?
I think it's maybe a bit of both. So, again, GRA has tried to make some training available and also to make it a bit simpler by having those practice notes. But in truth, there are a lot of gray areas in the law which do make it difficult sometimes to apply everything correctly. So, that is usually why we would suggest that you reach out to an advisor or an expert who can sometimes guide smaller businesses through these areas of the tax law.
Okay. So what are some of the things that small businesses can do to sort of help themselves in this journey of compliance from a tax point of view, in this journey of putting their numbers and their affairs in order when it comes to their bookkeeping and accounting? What are some of the things that they can do to help themselves?
So obviously one of the first things would be to try and keep all of their records. So these can be all of the documents, receipts that relate to the business. They should make sure they have these on hand, because especially if the GRA is coming to do an audit, they would come and look at all of these documents. So it's good to have them in one place and on hand. Keeping it in soft as well, like having a record of these documents in Excel, and the information is pretty helpful. There are also some smaller accounting software packages like QuickBooks that can assist with this kind of thing. The second thing, probably maybe the most important thing, is always to try and reach out to an expert. An expert will definitely give you some guidance on some of the things that maybe you haven't noticed or some of the things you don't know, and they can kind of give you a bit of maybe confidence in the business and how the records are being presented as well.
Okay. I think one of the things I would add is training. It's important that as a small business owner or even with your staff, you do get yourself trained. It helps you stay up to date. It helps you know the changes that happen, and it helps you learn how to do the things that you may otherwise go to somebody else to do. But even if you do go to somebody else to do for you, you should have an understanding so you're not blindsided by any decisions that they make. Anything else you want to add?
And maybe just one more. So like we had mentioned that certificates and other things, and can be difficult to obtain. But one thing that makes it easier is if you follow up regularly with the GRA. Obviously, this is something that maybe once we get the e-withholding TCCs, will eliminate that need. But until then, usually the best thing to do would be to follow up regularly with the GRA to make sure you're getting these things on time.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, May. I think that's been very helpful, especially for all the small business holders who may be watching. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Aisha Bedwe Ibe. I'm the tax leader here at PwC Ghana. Today I was joined by my colleague Maimuna Haruna, who's a manager in our tax reporting and strategy business. We hope you enjoyed this episode. See you in the next one. Thank you and God bless.